The science of attraction, beauty, the philosopher David Hume declared in the mid-18th century, is no quality in things themselves. It exists merely in the mind that contemplates them, and each mind perceives a different beauty. Since then, the idea that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, that standards of attractiveness are arbitrarily defined and rapidly changing, has become the dominant view in much of philosophy, art, science, and history. Body shape. In a series of studies conducted in the early 1990s, Singh identified a particular bodily feature that he claimed reliably conveys information about female mate value. The waist-to-hip ratio refers to fat distribution regulated by sex hormones that primarily sculpt typical body shape differences. Before puberty, body shape is more or less similar for both men and women. After puberty, however, women have greater amounts of body fat deposited in the lower part of the body. This engenders what is known as gynoid fat distribution, whereas men have greater amounts of fat in the upper body, or what is known as android fat distribution. Women typically maintain a lower WHR than men throughout adulthood, and it is this difference in fat distribution that engenders a noticeable and typical sex difference. In short, it gives women their curves or hourglass figure. Singh also made the point that the WHR reliably signals hormonal status, susceptibility to endocrinological disorders, and, most importantly, fertility. In particular, a low WHR is said to confer advantages over a high WHR in terms of health and fertility, thus reinforcing the evolutionary assumption that this feature of the female body conveys information about mate value. In support of this thesis, Singh developed a set of line drawings with which he amassed evidence for an evolved male preference for a low WHR. This ratio happens to correspond closely to the measurements of supermodels of various sizes, like Anna Nicole Smith, Kate Moss, and Cindy Crawford. Although this research is typically framed in terms of the comparison of low to high WHR, most authors suggest a specific preference for a WHR of 0.7. Burnham and Phelan, for example, write, although subconscious, there's something about that 0.7 that only a gene could love. Singh's line drawing studies have been replicated in a number of countries, and Singh himself argued that the WHR acts as a wide first-pass filter, which would automatically exclude women who are unhealthy or who have a low reproductive capacity. It is only after this culturally invariant filter is passed that other features such as the face, skin, or weight, which may vary between cultures, become utilized in final mate selection. The problem with Singh's line drawings is that they lack ecological validity. Line drawing stimuli are often impoverished and unrealistic, relying on a single original image from which modifications are made. Hence attempted to overcome this problem by using photographs of different women with computer-altered WHR. For each photograph, two versions of the WHR were created using morphing techniques. In one picture, the waist was tightened, and in the other, it was widened. Using these revised techniques, hence found support for Singh's contention that the WHR is an essential attribute of the attractiveness of the female figure. Whether line drawings or morphed photographs are used, females with a low WHR of about 0.7 seem to be judged as most attractive. Body weight. But not everyone is in agreement that WHR acts as a first-pass filter for female attractiveness. Using a new set of line drawings, Tassinari and Hansen, 1998, found the weight of the figure to be a more potent factor than the WHR. Streeter and McBurney are also quick to point out that the WHR effect is only evident when body weight is controlled. When both WHR and body weight are manipulated, it is evident that weight accounts for more variance than WHR. Other studies have shown that participants prefer figures that have a WHR around 0.7, but as body size increases, larger WHRs tend to be preferred. In addition, when photographs of women with WHR are manipulated, either by hip or waist changes are used, attractiveness seems to be more influenced by changes in waist than hip size. Importantly, Martin Tovey and his colleagues have criticized the assumption held by WHR researchers that the body weight of figures is held constant when narrowing the waist. When the figures are modified by altering the width of the torso or on the waist, this not only alters the WHR, but also apparent body mass index. As the value of WHR rises, so does that of apparent BMI, and so it is not possible to say whether changes in attractiveness ratings are made on the basis of WHR or BMI, or both. This error is intrinsic to most studies that have used line drawings. Attractiveness across cultures. A further problem for WHR research is that cross-cultural replications have not generally supported the notion that there is a universal preference for low WHRs. Although preferences for a low WHR have been found in a number of countries, all these studies were carried out in industrial societies. What is clear from the literature is that cultures differ widely in their attitudes toward such things as obesity and body shape. Recently, Wetzman and Marlowe elicited preferences from a hunter-gatherer tribe called the Hadza in Tanzania, who subsist almost exclusively from foraging wild food. They found that the size of the WHR does not affect judgments of attractiveness. Instead, the Hadza prefer heavy over medium and medium over lightweight line drawings when selecting for attractiveness, health, and desirability as a wife, regardless of WHR. Marlowe and Wetzman recently returned to Tanzania with a new set of line drawings in which only the WHR was varied. With no weight variation, Hadza men preferred high WHRs, which the authors argue is nevertheless an artifact of the preference for heavier women. These results are strikingly similar to that of a previous study conducted among the isolated Matsinka of southern Peru. They tested 3 groups of the same population, differing in their degree of contact. The least westernized group, like the Hadza, ranked figures first by weight and then high WHR over low WHR, once again opposing findings from industrialized societies. The second, moderately westernized group differed in that they rated low WHR females as being more attractive and more desirable as spouses, but not more healthy. The third and most westernized group did not differ from male participants in the U.S. For Wetzman and Marlowe, this conclusion suggested to them that a first-pass filter would consist of partner preferences based on body weight. Individuals in environments where food scarcity is a constant threat might make mate choice decisions based solely on the weight of a potential partner. The influence of WHR may only become relevant when food resources are plentiful enough that the risk of women's starvation during pregnancy and lactation is minimal, thereby acting as a second-pass filter. Biology as destiny. Evolutionary theory has proved to be a powerful theoretical tool in exploring female bodily attractiveness. Slogans like biology is destiny have been used by both supporters and critics of evolutionary theory, which always attracts both philosophic and sociopolitical criticism. Certainly, some aspects of attractiveness seem to be ingrained in our biology. Characteristics associated with evolutionary advantages seem to be perceived as attractive. The cross-disciplinary research in this area has led to the beginning of a new science of attractiveness and has had implications for our understanding of body image and eating disorders. Through experimental studies, we are beginning to understand how, when and why beauty is not only in the eye of the beholder, but can also be determined in the facial and bodily characteristics of human beings. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. See you next time.